Up dog.
Up dog. Up dog.
Up dog sports talk.
Hello, and welcome to Up Dog Sports Talk.
Up dog.
My name is Matt Miller, and this is Justin.
There we go.
Yeah.
I am Justin. I am here to talk about some NFL football here today with Matt.
Yeah, big show.
big
Going
show,
over the
big-time
playoff
show.
rankings. Seeing where teams fall, who's some surprises, and yeah.
It's hard to believe.
See where
but
this
the
conversation
season
goes.
Is winding down. How many weeks left?
We have 4 whole weeks left.
Wow.
Anything can happen. COVID can take them all out.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have 4 weeks to see who's going into the playoffs, who's going to fall out. Who's
Well,
going
let's
into the
just
divisions.
jump right in, shall we?
All right.
In the AFC.
We have the men from the center of the Rust Belt, the Pittsburgh Steelers, holding the tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs as a result of being undefeated against the AFC. The Steelers are 11-1, but they just came off their first loss. What is your reaction to this loss?
I just had to laugh. My wife is a Steelers fan. I'm sorry I had to bring that up, sweetie, but yeah, that was hilarious. You lost to a team with no name. I've been saying
without a name.
I've actually been saying all year that they're actually not as good as what their record says. They got bailed out a couple of times by the refs and have played the Bengals twice they played the Bengals once, but they play pretty bad competition. So just makes sense that they're at the top because they've always been at the top. Chiefs are going to pass them probably in the next few weeks. Chiefs have a little bit easier schedule.
A little bit, but I guess the challenge is I'm not sure if there's really anyone in the Steelers' schedule that can knock them off from here.
I think the Bills and the Browns can probably beat them.
I don't know, because the Browns, if you take away their ground game, it's tough for them.
But they didn't have Nick Chubb last time.
Yeah, but that Steelers defense is so good against the run.
They are, but Nick Chubb is, I think, better than Derrick Henry.
Really?
With that
some bold
with that
declarations
offensive
on the
line.
show.
With that offensive line.
But yeah, the Browns' offensive line is playing really well. We'll see. Definitely the number 1 seed looks to be between the Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are at number 2, also at 11-1. I mean, what do you have to say about this team? I mean, this team's just dominant.
Oh, yeah.
The one challenge is they are a little bit weak against the run, which has allowed teams to stay in games against them lately.
Yeah, and they, if their offense isn't on the field, then they can possibly lose. I think all 5 of their losses over the last couple of years have been, or their last 5 losses, have been when the other team dominates the time of possession.
Yeah.
So if you keep Pat Mahomes off the field, all you have to do is just go down and score. You'll get into shootouts, and then you'll be able to kick the last-second field goal. But that's kind of where all their losses have been. They're the next dynasty. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you say who is going to make the Super Bowl, your first answer is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. To me, they're the best team in the playoffs. Well, they're the best team in the NFL, but I can't put them.
I would say, basically, they're the favorites. Someone else, try to knock them down. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And we have your Buffalo Bills. Are they circling the wagons?
We're playing well so far. 9-3 on the year. One of the losses was on a Hail Mary. We had a pretty rough stretch there against the Chiefs and the Titans where we got crushed kind of 2 weeks in a row. Other than the Hail Mary, we would be winning 6 in a row right now. But it hasn't been against the greatest of competition. The Seahawks was a pretty good win, though. But
Not against that defense, but stopping Russell Wilson is always a pretty big deal.
But this team pretty much goes as Josh Allen goes. We began to compliment him with a bit more of a run game the past 2 weeks.
Singletary's looked a little bit better.
We'll see if that holds up against the Steelers, but the defense is playing a little bit better. Again, we'll see if that holds up against the Steelers. We definitely look strong right now. If a few things go our way, we clinch a playoff berth, but let's just wait and see. I'm hoping we can hang on and win the division, but the Dolphins are coming in hot. We'll talk
Dolphins
about them
are
later.
coming in hot.
But obviously, the last division leader is the Tennessee Titans at 8-4.
To me, they're going to get dethroned.
A surprising just destruction at the hands of the Cleveland Browns. Even though the game ended up being a 6-point game because of garbage time, but the Browns led 38-7 at halftime.
Yeah, so back to that conversation you and I had off camera the other day. The Titans are not Super Bowl contenders to me. Being blown out by the Browns is pretty much the icing on the cake on that one. I think the Colts are just going to run away with the division at the end of the year. I think the Titans are running out of steam, and their lack of production from Jadeveon Clowney is a pretty big reason why.
Well, Jadeveon Clowney's hurt right now.
Whatever. He didn't do anything when he played, so it's like, is he
Yeah.
there, is he not? Like,
But, yeah, the lack of production in general from the pass rush
Yeah.
is a massive concern right now. They can't get after the passer. You can't get after the passer, then these teams, especially in the competitive AFC, are just going to go all over you.
Yeah.
Basically, their only hope is to be able to play keep away with Derrick Henry. I mean, they have a good passing offense, too. But, yeah, the problem is just their defense cannot make stops right now because of the lack of pass rush. So let's talk about those leaders, those teams that are not leading their division right now, but are in the wild card at the moment. We have the Cleveland Browns at 9-3.
Browns?
Can you believe this?
So I had them winning the division early in the year. I still think they can win this division.
Really?
As I said a few minutes ago, if the Bills beat the Steelers and the Browns beat the Steelers, the Browns would obviously have to get at least one win out of that scenario. But if they win out, then they pretty much leapfrog the Steelers, and then the Bills will leapfrog the Steelers in the standings as a result. So I think some of the surprise teams could actually come down to the Bills and Browns.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to see how the Browns look against the Steelers and Ravens because both those teams just absolutely ran them off the field the first time they played.
But this team is gaining steam. Without OBJ, they seem to be a much better team.
Yeah, I mean, they're running the ball very well. I'm impressed with the run game. They got Baker Mayfield going in the play-action pass last week. Again, no, that was against the Titans who can't get pressure on anyone. If Baker Mayfield can sit back and throw, he'll be able to. He's not going to have that luxury against the Steelers.
No, it's probably going to be one of those ground and pound games where you get pounded into the ground as a quarterback and then just hand the ball off the rest of the game.
And the Browns' defense definitely dealt with some injuries. They're playing a little bit better now, though. But we'll see. We'll see how they perform down the stretch. Still, what a season for the Browns so far.
Oh, yeah.
At this point,
Best season since 2007.
Yeah,
They didn't
the
make
Derek
it-
Anderson year.
Yeah, and then this will be the first time since I believe 2002 that they made the playoffs. So
If they make it,
yeah, if they
you gotta
make it,
close this out.
they do have to close this out.
Finish
They
strong.
could end in typical Browns fashion, but this team I don't think can do that.
Yeah, I do have to say I hope they do, just for their sake. I mean, they've been through a lot.
I'm a part Bengals fan, and I'm actually rooting for the Browns.
Yeah. Hopefully my girlfriend doesn't catch this part of the show because she is not like the Browns. But yeah, moving on, a team that I don't like, the Miami Dolphins are sitting at 8-4. Right
You
now.
hate the Finns.
Yeah. Squish the fish.
Tua's looking pretty good.
Kind of.
Their defense is way better.
I do have to say that I feel like this team would actually be better if Fitzmagic was still playing. Tua still looks like he's getting the hang of things. he's trying to get a little bit more experience. I mean, especially this past week, even against the Bengals, he was kind of struggling a little bit, kind of missing throws. I feel like the Dolphins were a little bit impatient with it. They should have just stuck with Fitzmagic this year and let Tua.
But we don't know what was going on behind the scenes.
Learn and also he did have a pretty horrific injury last year.
Yeah.
I feel like he should have been given more time to recover that and learn correctly. But he's in there. I mean, he hasn't turned the ball over yet. So that's one big thing he's doing, which, I mean...
Is he now in the lead for Rookie of the Year?
No. I would say he's not. Although at this point, he's Rookie of the Year trending away from the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
With Justin Herbert's play already, like the past few games, and then Joe Burrow being out, I think it's going to go to Chase Claypool or Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. Yeah, Justin Jefferson has been a stud. But we'll get to him later.
Yeah, we'll get to both.
But yeah, Tua hasn't turned the ball over. That is one big difference, one positive between him and Fitzmagic, because Fitzmagic will throw it for 300 yards, but he'll also toss the ball all over the place and probably throw 2 picks at the same time.
Yep.
But that defense is playing very well.
Very, very well.
And now with Gaskin back, they're running the ball well, too.
You know who else has a good defense?
The Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
Who you are actually representing today. I don't know what team you root for on a weekly basis now, but you've probably read 3 different teams on this show already.
I'm pretty sure those are the only hoodies I have.
But take the Colts away, Matt.
The Colts look really good. Phillip Rivers is no longer throwing cinder blocks. He is back to throwing just ducks. T.Y. Hilton is getting hot. Look to him
really
make some. Yeah, the team's better with him producing, so why not give him the ball? But they have to pass the ball like 60 times a game.
Yeah.
Their ability to run the ball is like is Jonathan Taylor still out?
Jonathan Taylor's back.
Okay.
He actually it's been between him and Nyheim Hines lately.
Hines is better in the pass game though.
Yeah. They both are better in the pass game, so they've been pretty much just throwing the ball all over the yard, but offensive line still looks decent. They're dealing
not as good as last year though.
They're still dealing with some injuries though. So
yeah.
We'll see if that picks up.
Defense, top of one of the best in the league. They've fallen off a little bit, but I mean, it's crunch time now. They gotta step up. Yeah.
Darius Leonard, the maniac, has been amazing.
And he's coming with a lot of energy off the sideline, so it kind of pumps the offense up too.
Absolutely. Yeah, that defense is hoping to lead them deep, but I do agree with you, as you said earlier. I do think they'll be able to take the division away from the Titans.
Yeah. It's the Titans to lose, but Colts are going to win it.
Up next, we have a team that has faded pretty badly lately. The Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders.
They needed an absolutely terrible defensive call by, of course, the New York Jets.
Yep.
To beat the winless Jets on basically the last play of the game. I think there was a few seconds left.
There was 4 seconds left.
But the Raiders have been absolutely dreadful the past few weeks. This is a team that's trending their way out of the playoffs.
Yeah. There was a little bit where they looked like they could squeak in. I think they're kind of removing themselves quickly from the equation.
Yeah, I would say
it actually depends on if Derek Carr can get Ruggs the ball.
Yeah.
And get some of the load off of Josh Jacobs, who I believe is out this week.
He was out last week. He could be back this week. We'll see.
Well, if he's out, chalk them up as an L.
Yeah, but they need to figure something out because they have just faded badly in the last few weeks. And the defense isn't good to begin with, so they need the offense to be almost perfect.
Oh, yeah.
But I would say the teams that are sitting outside the playoffs, this is the team least likely to get in because they're just trending in the wrong direction.
You know who else is trending in the wrong direction?
The Baltimore Ravens.
Remember when they were the top pick in the NFC or AFC this year?
Yeah, they were the favorites to win the AFC.
They put them over the Chiefs.
They were favored to win the Kansas City Chiefs, and everyone on ESPN picked the Ravens to win.
Yeah, and then they got blown out.
Yeah, they got destroyed. I mean, that game was over in the second quarter. But
yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, the Ravens look like they're trending in the
They
wrong
can set
direction
themselves up for a playoff picture, but they got to beat the Browns. which they've proven that they can do, but with the momentum they have, I don't know if they can get that done. And they're probably not going to beat the Steelers.
Yeah. Well, no, they already dealt with their 2 losses from the Steelers.
Yeah, that they have. Who else do they have? They have someone else up there.
This is
Whoever that is.
You should
Yeah.
have looked at before
Whatever.
the show.
Well, they're not going to make the playoffs. Why am I going to do research on a team that's not going to make the playoffs?
I actually at one point last night I was like before Lamar got a nice touchdown run, but then again this is against the Dallas Cowboys who can't stop anything. Before he got a good touchdown run, like I was actually thinking to myself, he literally looks like the Monstars came in and like sucked all his talent away. At the start of that game, he looked absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't until that long run that he kind of got things going.
yeah, he kind of picked up a little bit, but again, it was mostly on the ground. They can run the ball, but obviously it's never going to be as easy to run the ball as it was against the Cowboys. And
Everyone's going to run all over the Cowboys, and then Lamar Jackson is probably not going to run that much the rest of the year.
And the underrated concern is that their defense isn't even playing that well.
Yeah. They spent all that money on that defense, and they're like actually pretty bad.
They're kind
Their
of
only
fading.
bright spot
They're
is
fading
Patrick
late
Queen.
here. Yeah. Even Patrick Queen, like he shows up. I don't know what the Pro Football Focus rankings go on, but he's actually pretty low in those rankings.
Is he really?
Yeah. He makes a lot of big plays, but I'm guessing in between the big plays, he's probably not making plays.
Yeah.
But moving on from the Ravens and teams that seem to be trending out, how about a team that's trending in? We thought they were dead. I personally wish that they were out of this playoff race. But damn it, we cannot get rid of them. The New England Patriots are 6-6 and all of a sudden on a roll.
I think they're going to make the playoffs.
It feels like they're working their way in.
Actually, if they're trending up and the Titans are trending down, the Titans might not even make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. It's possible. But yeah, the Patriots are running the ball really well. They don't even need to pass it. They can't pass it anyways.
Just get the ball down to the 1 and then have Cam Newton jump over. That's all you
Pretty
have to
much.
do.
And that defense has been dominant lately. They obviously they played the Chargers. Anthony Lynn told the team that the playoff run isn't going to happen. I don't know why a head coach says
quit.
that.
He's out.
But
if you haven't noticed, we have already voted Anthony Lynn off the island. Go check out one of our other videos if you want more information on that.
yeah, the fire or not fire video, Anthony Lynn. We definitely said the fire.
That was one of my favorites.
That was even before we heard that Anthony Lynn told the team that the playoff run's not going to happen. I don't know who in the world says that to a team.
Him.
Yeah.
A coach getting fired. That's who that is.
Yeah, a coach on his way out, that's for sure. But the Patriots defense has looked really good. With the people they have, I have no idea how they're in playoff contention, but that's Bill Belichick for you. With that, maybe we should move on to the NFC.
Yeah, the NFC. You think the AFC is like kind of wild. The NFC has more teams fighting for spots.
Almost the whole conference.
The number 1 team here in the NFC, no surprise, the New Orleans Saints. Even without Drew Brees, Taysom Hill's kind of running off with that team. He's proven that he can actually play quarterback. And they don't even need Jameis Winston. He just went there to get his eyes checked.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints, obviously people worry about them early in the year. They didn't look great early in the year, but they still won most of the games. And then now, once again, late in the year, the Saints are on a roll. They always seem to start off slow and then catch fire. And right now, they have caught fire. That defense is playing.
But if the Vikings make the playoffs,
their arch nemesis.
the number 2 team on the list, the Green Bay Packers. Well, I had them number 1 like a few weeks ago, but they've kind of traded spots. They've been trending downward a little bit, but they almost have the division on lock still.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to win the NFC North. No question about it. Aaron Rodgers is still being Aaron Rodgers. He has been dominant. The defense has started to play a little bit better the past couple of weeks, which is going to be huge. And obviously that offense has their full set of weapons now with Lazard back. This team looks like, honestly, I would still consider them the favorites to win the NFC.
I think so too. The rest of the teams behind them, there's a few that could possibly contend, but after that, it's
this
trash.
The rest of this conference, I wouldn't say trash, but the rest of this conference is just like a mismatch of teams that could win or lose on any given week.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the Rams, who are third. The Rams, trending upward, tend to lose random games, like the 49ers game that they should have won. It's their division to lose. I don't think they're going to lose it. Yeah,
for this week, because the leader changes almost every week now.
But I had the Rams making the playoffs at the beginning of the season, but I didn't have them winning the division. They've actually impressed. Seahawks are going down, down the division, and Cardinals. Every time they make a run, they fall back into their place.
But yeah, I would say with the Rams, we'll see. Probably going.
They're led by their defense.
They're led by the defense. Obviously, the big challenge for them is Jared Goff. It seems like, actually, it was very funny on the Pat McAfee show. Michael Lombardi called Jared Goff the best in-game gambling quarterback because you can always tell usually by the end of the first quarter if it's going to be a good Goff game or a bad Goff game. If it starts out good and everything he's seeing is correct, usually the Rams will rip you a new one and tear you apart. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a bad game for the Rams.
Yeah, and along with that is the running game.
Mm-hmm.
Their running game has been so inconsistent. They got bailed out by a 30-yard Henderson run for a touchdown last week to kind of swing the momentum in their favor. And then Cam Akers has been playing pretty well, but then he'll have games where he does absolutely nothing and can't get going. So if they can't run the ball and Goff plays pretty bad, they're definitely going to lose a football game. Mm-hmm. That defense can't do all the scoring.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be taking a hot hand approach, but if it takes them too long to find a hot hand, that's where they can get themselves in a little bit of trouble.
From two good teams to a medium team to a dumpster fire of a team, the New York Football Giants, the G-Men.
Hey, I mean, I have been ripping on the Giants all year. They were a bad team, but you look at how they've played the past few weeks.
Their defense, where'd that come from?
This team actually after beating the Seahawks, this team actually looks like a team that belongs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that was with the big quarterback by Colt McCoy. Yeah. I don't even know what year we're in right now.
I know.
That Colt McCoy is winning games, but that defense is all of a sudden playing really well.
If they had Saquon Barkley, you could actually almost automatically move them up a spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they still have Barkley, they could be playing. And by the way, obviously a few weeks ago, there was the rumors where Colombo and the head coach got in a fight and Colombo got fired. But
he could have been the problem.
Yeah, I mean, you would think after hearing that the team would fall apart, but instead they've gotten stronger. And the offensive line has played better since they fired Colombo as the offensive line coach.
Yeah, he wasn't even that good as an offensive lineman.
But, I mean, when you see that, I mean, the Seahawks have a strong run defense, too.
Yeah.
Wayne Gallman, of all people, ran for 130 yards. Imagine if they had Saquon Barkley. He'd run for 200 then.
He might go for the record.
I don't know about that. Slow down, Matt. But he definitely would run for 200 yards.
Speaking Seahawks, they're fifth behind the Giants.
Number one in the wild
card.
What's going on with this team? Russell Wilson is all of a sudden not playing well. The Let Russ Cook campaign is quickly falling apart.
If you actually take Russell Wilson off of that team, they're probably competing for Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, yeah. They're probably even worse.
Yeah. Russell Wilson alone has made this team better. And the fact that they're fifth right now is actually pretty impressive.
Absolutely. But, I mean, it's just, I don't know what's going on with this team. I mean, they do have good weapons at receiver. They definitely can't run the ball still.
They don't have an offensive line.
They have not resolved the offensive line for
10
several years. Yeah. I mean, the last time they had a good one, they won the Super Bowl, or they made it to the Super Bowl and lost in the last play. But I don't know why they haven't addressed it, and they still refuse to fix it, and it seems to be dropping them off now. But definitely. I mean, Wilson still is lifting this team, but at the same time, he's not playing as well as he did earlier in the year.
Yeah, I agree. Another quarterback that isn't playing as good as he was earlier in the year, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. They actually may miss the playoffs.
It's looking tight, but they do have an easier schedule the rest of the way. They kind of went through the meat of their schedule and lost to most of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they appear to they still are playing a decent defense, at least against a run. They can't stop the pass as well, but it looks like I don't know. Something just seems like they just aren't in a good rhythm on offense.
I'll tell you what it is. It's Bruce Arians' offense. I talked about last show how Carson Palmer struggled and then Jameis Winston struggled. This is Tom Brady's first season in the system. He's gonna struggle.
Yeah,
and he's not. He went from a quarterback that dumps the ball down for 3, 4, 5 yards, and the receiver does the work. This offense, you have to throw the ball over the top almost every play, like 15, 20, 25 plus yards. Like that's where most of your targets are coming from. That's why he's throwing more picks. So Bruce Arians refuses to throw short and let Tom Brady throw short, and that's kind of where everything's coming from. The defense can only hold for so long, and then if you're an offense that just throws the ball downfield and throws picks like half of every series or once every other series, then you're not going to.
It almost feels like
games.
they're not making the defense think as much as they should. With the talent that they have,
JPP's falling off.
They should be a little bit more creative.
One team that probably was not on anyone's list to make the playoffs through week 5 surprisingly came back. Minnesota Vikings.
I know, this team back from the dead here.
Yeah, and they are reliant upon Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook has been tearing it up here the last several weeks. He's been one of the best running backs in the NFL. The past couple weeks, they managed to actually come back from some deficits, which they were not able to do early in the year. Kirk, if I die, I die. Cousins has been all of a sudden playing a lot better.
But he's better at handing the ball off.
He's been playing a little bit better, though, taking better advantage of his receivers, Thielen and Jefferson. And
definitely Jefferson. Thielen's actually going through a dry spell.
Well, Thielen was out a couple.
But even when he was playing, he was going through a dry spell.
He actually does. He actually has a lot of touchdowns this year. I would say Thielen's still playing pretty well, but obviously you look at Jefferson, how he's playing.
Jefferson's a clear number one now.
Ever since they found where they need to put Jefferson in the offense has been playing better. The defense is still a concern for me. I feel like they haven't really played an offense that can take advantage of how bad their defense is. That'll still be a concern down the line, but these other teams. One
team that could jump them, but probably won't at this point, the Cardinals. Kyler Murray had a couple of really hot weeks, kind of falling off last week.
He hurt his shoulder against the Seahawks. They were playing pretty well early on in that game, and as soon as he hurt his shoulder, that game kind of fell apart on them. And really, the whole season's been falling apart on them. I don't know what kind of ailment it is or how long it's going to last, but the fact is, ever since he's gotten this, he's been less willing to run. He's not making the defense think as much. Defense is able to cover the pass more. Larry Fitzgerald's been out a couple of games with COVID too.
And that defense is terrible.
That defense, they have no pass rush.
No pass rush whatsoever.
And, I mean, simply, they need this offense to outscore people right now with...
They're not going to do that.
With the injuries and everything that they're... With Kyler Murray's injury and all of that.
And Kenyon Drake isn't running the ball that well either.
Yeah, he's not. But
trending even faster downward. The Bears. Bears, we talk about them every week. Everyone talks about them every week. They're a bad football team.
They're a game outside the playoff right now.
But they're a bad football team.
But yeah, Trubisky stinks.
The majority of their wins came on that 5-1 start.
Yeah, and they have lost. Yeah, it's 6 in a row they have lost now. They're definitely trending downward. Their defense does get, I believe they get Akeem Hicks back this week.
That'll be huge.
Which will help their defense.
That'll be huge.
Maybe could lead to some more 13-10 scores. I can't see them making their way back into the playoff race.
Well, a team that we haven't talked about here in a while, the Lions?
Yeah, and I was very surprised. We were putting together the standings. I did not realize that the Lions were one game out of the playoff. They just fired their coach 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, they've actually been playing better since Matt Patricia got fired. So they may not have corners that are playing right now. I think their top 3 corners are hurt or COVID list. Their
whole defense is pretty much a mess.
Yeah.
Their offense, their offense is dealing with injuries too. They are going to get DeAndre Swift back this week, which will help, but I don't know if Galladay is going to be back. They need him back.
They need him back bad.
In order to make a surprise playoff run.
And then one team that was a couple games out, only on this list because they're only a couple games out, surprisingly, but the 49ers, that win against the Rams was huge.
Absolutely.
They're trending upwards with Nick Mullins, and they're looking better.
Their defense got a lot of guys back. They
got Sherman back.
Other than getting shredded by Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, the defense has looked a lot better with those guys back. There's been so many injuries this team has dealt with this year, and now they're not even playing in their own stadium. It's been a crazy year, but at any point they could get it together. They got Mostert back now on the offense. He's been the best running back in their system, but I don't know. We'll see. They have a shot.
And Nick Mullins, I think the stat was the other day that through the first 16 games that they've played, he was third behind Mahomes and I think Aaron Rodgers. So
I know, it's kind of ridiculous.
That's the funniest stat I've seen. Like, Shanahan is such a smart coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only reason why they're here.
Absolutely.
And then the team that I don't know may end up winning the division from the 12th spot in the playoff rankings, the Washington football team with no name.
The team of no name is up here. Really, the only reason why they're in contention is because they're in the NFC East. Yeah. But in all reality,
they just beat the Steelers with the bloody sock of Alex Smith.
And, they destroyed the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. They're on a 3-game winning streak right now. It's crazy to think that this team, they entered the season, didn't even have a name. Alex Smith is back from a ridiculous injury. They didn't even think he'd ever play football again. Now he's here.
17 surgeries, almost lost his leg, came back playing better than Dwayne Haskins.
He is playing well with very little to throw to. Terry McLaurin's the only receiver they have on that team.
Terry McLaurin's the only one that I know of, and then they throw to a backup receiver.
I've seen him on TV 3 weeks in a row, and I still don't know if any wide receivers.
Sims, is that a name?
I think so, yeah. I don't even know what that guy's first name is.
It begins with a C. That's all I know.
Yeah, but for the most part, McLaurin's really the only wide receiver doing anything.
They've been throwing a lot to Logan Thomas.
Yeah, Logan Thomas,
backup quarterback.
Former quarterback. Yeah. And then they have McKissick at running back, who they throw to. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, they rely on their defense to kind of make plays.
Absolutely, and that defense has been playing well.
And we had to do 2 more teams for the NFC because there's 2 more teams in contention. So, gonna be a weird ending to the season. We may check back each week. I haven't decided that yet. Don't plan these shows that far out, but it'll be interesting going forward to see how the playoff picture changes.
Definitely. Right now, at least with 2 teams picking up heat, it looks like the NFC East might not put the worst team in playoff history ever, or the worst team to ever make the playoffs into the playoffs. I really misworded that one, but yeah, the Giants and the team without a name are picking up steam. So at least now all of a sudden you have to worry about this team, whichever one of the 2 makes it. Definitely a lot to still be determined here, but Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this all shakes out.
Another thing that is fun to look at right now, on the flip side of it, who's lining up at what picks?
Well, the Jets are doing the best they can to line themselves at number 1.
Jaguars pretty much cemented themselves at 2, unless they randomly win a couple games.
They're sitting back there basically hoping the Jets screw up and win a game, and then the Jaguars would step into number 1.
The Bengals are in good position for an offensive lineman.
Much needed.
Lions are up there. Could the Lions take a quarterback next year?
We'll see. There's going to be there's 6 good quarterbacks in this year's class. So
that will be a different show. This show is done.
Yeah, this show's over.
Yeah, we're out of here.